crime under the Jewish law. And when they went to Pilate, they took these threats to him. And even Pilate himself, after inquiring about Jesus, he said, I don't see any fault in this man. What do you want me to do with him? What was their response? Crucify him. You must crucify him. This is the only way we can get rid of him and his message. You have to crucify him. And when Jesus found out that they were going to crucify him, what did he do? He went to the Garden of Gethsemane. He fell on his face and he prayed for God to remove him from this mission. He said, do not let them crucify me. I know why. Because Jesus understood that if they crucify me, they'll never believe in me. You have sent me only. Jesus was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's a very important fact. He was not sent to anyone other than the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And he said, if they crucify me, they'll never believe in me. So he said, God, if it be your will, let this cup pass from me. But nevertheless, not as my will, but let your will be done. This was his prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane. And so now I'm starting to realize that why Jesus did not want to be crucified, why he could not be crucified. And I realized that had he been crucified, he would have been a liar, according to his own law. He would not have fulfilled the law of Moses. He would have actually been a criminal, according to the law of Moses, had he been crucified according to it, and he would have been an accursed individual, which Paul says he was. He was crucified as a criminal, and he was accursed according to his law. But this is not the message of Jesus Christ. So I now start asking a lot of these types of questions to my pastor, and he removed me from being the youth minister. And I really didn't want to be the youth minister anymore anyway, because I could not see myself preaching a message that I no longer saw as valid. So I began to ask many questions that finally led me to the textual critic professor at Bob Jones University. And what the textual critic professor told me was this. He told me, Joshua, the Bible that you have, the Bible that you have is the product of the hands of men and women that has been passed down over thousands and thousands of years and copied by the hands of men and women who copied it by hand in the most remedial forms in its early stages. And during that copying, they made many mistakes. Some of them purposely, some of them, many of them, without purpose. But they were changes that were made, and they were not able to be corrected, and we lost the originals, and there's no way to know what we really have anymore. He said, so the scholars of the Bible do the best that they can to try to find out what is really said. He said, but the end result of what you have is a book written by the hands of men and women that they left their fingerprints on, and it is not perfect. No. He said, but the people who believe in it by faith. And it is that faith which takes them unto their justification and salvation. And it is that faith alone, without the capacity of reason, that leads one to salvation. And this is where I stopped him. And I said, you know what? I'm not going for that anymore. I'm not going for that anymore. I said, number one, because God gave me an intellect for a reason. He created logic in human beings for a reason, to understand the world around them, and that logic should indeed, again, make them understand Him. I said, number two, God is perfect, right? He said, yes. I said, therefore, everything emanating from Him should be perfect. His prophets should be perfect. They should show us the right way to live a life, not the wrong way. His book should be perfect. The book and the prophets of the Old Testament are not perfect. They did not show us the right way to live. They showed us the wrong way to live. The book that I have in my hands is not perfect. The religion you're telling me to believe in is not perfect, because it does not agree with the same logic and reason that God gave me to understand Himself. Therefore, it cannot be from God. And I left Christianity at that point. And I said that I believed in God. There was no fool in his right mind who was going to get me to deny that the Creator existed. The world around me was enough evidence for the existence of a designer. But I did not know the right way He wanted for me. So I started to study other religions. I studied Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Judaism, Wiccan, Bushido. Everything I could get my hands on that had any type of religious tint to it, I studied it. And what I found was much of what I found in Christianity. Because there was one evidence there was one thing that I wanted. From now on, there was only one way I was going to accept another religion. And that was, it had to come with proof that was just as perfect as the religion says it is. Because my grandfather told me something when I was young and I remembered it. He said, young man, the truth always comes with proof. Therefore, if someone says they're telling you the truth, ask them for some proof. So I asked for proof in these religions. I asked the proof from Hinduism, Taoism, and what I found was none of the proof that was perfect. All of them had their proofs that they said, you believe this, you believe that. But when you boil it all down, every other religion always had to come to the point